All right, hey sixth graders, welcome back to Mr. Hansen's math class YouTube channel. If you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, if you find this video helpful in your lesson for today, make sure you give the video a thumbs up, hit that like button. Today we're going to be focusing on lesson 8.3, area of rectangles and parallelograms. First, let's discuss what area is. Area of a figure is the amount of surface it covers. Okay, so like this room's area, or let's say a pod, okay? In this room, the surface area is how much room it takes up in the classroom. We measure area in square units, and usually, so like if we're finding like miles, it'd be miles squared, okay? With your exponent with the 2 after the label, okay? Example 1. All right, estimating the area of the figure. So now what they're asking you to do, okay, first thing you do is count the total amount of whole squares that are in the object of the figure, okay? So for this one, I color coordinated it red, okay, the whole squares. So count up the whole square, so count the red part. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39 total whole squares. Okay? Now you're going to add that to the almost full, which I represented as green. So count the amount of squares that are almost full, not completely, but almost. So count the green ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 almost full. So you're estimating again, so you're kind of rounding. Say like this square is 75% filled, you would round it up to 100%. Okay, and then the last part is the amount of half-filled squares. Okay, so then I would count, and I represented blue for this one. So I count the amount of blue squares. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, I forgot where I started. So I'll start here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now so there's 10 half-filled squares. So then if we want to make it into a whole square, we would divide that 10 by 2. So it would add up. So 10 divided by 2 is 5, okay? Because if you take 1/2 and add it to 1/2, you would get one whole square. So then you would go 10 divided by 2, okay? So then you would add all this together, and that's the estimation of the surface area created. Now, in this one, it should be the squares equal 1 mile squared, okay? So then when we add these up, we get 49 plus 5, which equals 54, and don't forget your label, miles squared. Okay, now if you have a square that is a sliver, so like right here, there's a little bit, like a quarter of it is, the area takes up a quarter of the, that figure takes up a quarter of the square, don't count that. Okay, do not count those squares. Leave them blank. I think that was like the only one. Oh, yeah. That was about the only one that, up here too. Right there and right here. Just a little sliver. Don't count those quarter squares. And it explains it in the textbook in example 1 a little better. You can see it probably a little better. But don't count those sliver ones. Just count the whole ones, almost full, and then the half ones. You just take half of the total amount of the half filled squares. Okay? So that's example 1. Now, focusing on area of a rectangle. Okay, to find the area of a rectangle, multiply the length by the width. So your formula is right here. So it'd be area equals length times width. Pretty easy stuff. You just multiply the two numbers together. Okay, so for example 2, find the area of the rectangle. So if we have area equals length times width, the length of a rectangle is the long part, okay, the longer portion. And since it's only multiplying here, you're not doing multi-step, it doesn't matter what you do first. You can do either, you can put the numbers either way, okay? But to find the area, the length is the long part, so that would be 13, and then the width is the other portion, or the smaller portion, which is 8. So you go 13 times 8, and then area equals, and then so it'd be 20, 8 times 3 is 24, 8 times 1 is 8, plus 2 is 10. So it'd be 104, and then we're talking about meters, and then since it's area, we always square the area. Okay? That's example 2. Now area of a parallelogram. Formula is area equals base times height, or it could be written like this. A equals BH. The base of the parallelogram is the length of a rectangle, and then the height of the parallelogram is the width of the rectangle. Okay? Now usually with the height, it's usually given as a dotted line. Okay? And it's usually straight. That's really crooked. But you'll see in this next example. Okay? But it's the same formula as the rectangle, except you're dealing with base and height. Okay? Because you're imagining a triangle right here. Okay? You can see that mini triangle right there. So find the area of a parallelogram. So area equals base times height. So the base is the bottom portion or the length. Okay? And that would be 2 1/3 times, and then the height, the dotted line, is 3 1/2. Now we're dealing with fractions. Okay, when we multiply fractions, you first have to find a common denominator when you're multiplying. No, you don't. Yeah, no, you don't. You just multiply. Okay, so it'd be 2 times 3 is 6. And then 1 times 1 is 1 over 6. I want to make sure that's right. I feel like I'm having a mental breakdown here, guys. Oh, yeah, you can't multiply. You can't multiply mixed numbers. I'm sorry. You have to change them into improper fractions. Okay, and remember how to do that. You take the denominator times denominator times the whole number plus 1, so it'd be 7 over, so 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7, keep the denominator the same, then it's 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7, and then denominator doesn't change. Now you can multiply. So then it'd be 7 times 7, which is 49, and then 3 times 2 is 6. We don't leave it as an improper fraction, so we have to divide. Okay? 6 goes into 49 how many times? 8. 8 times 6 is 48. And then subtract, and then we want to keep it as a fraction, so it's going to be a mixed number. So it's 8 and 1/6 inches squared. Now, do you see how for myself, I even had to go look back at the textbook, and I couldn't remember how to multiply mixed numbers, and that's okay. We haven't touched on that in a while, so that's okay if you have to look back into prior lessons to see to remember how to do some things, which is totally fine. Okay, but remember, rectangle is area equals length times width, and then parallelogram is area equals base times height. Okay, remember the height is the dotted lines 9 times out of 10. They'll give that to you. Okay, example 4. This will probably be you have 2 questions in your lesson that deal with this, and it'll probably be the hardest part of your lesson. Okay, a rectangular park is made up of a rectangular spring-fed pool, which is right here. I forgot to label that. And a limestone picnic ground that surrounds it, and that's what this is. Picnic ground. All of that area outside the pool. The rectangular park is 30 yards by 25 yards, and the pool is 10 yards by 4 yards. What is the area of the limestone picnic ground? Okay, so we first know the total amount of the park. It's 30 by 25. So let's find the area of that first. So to find the area of a rectangle, what do? We multiply length times width. So the length is the long part, so that's 30 times 25, which is the width. So let's go on the side here. 25 times 30, bring down the 0. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. So we have 750 yards squared is the total park. The total park is 750 yards squared. Now let's figure out the pool. And that's the same thing, it's a rectangle, so we go length times width, so length is 10 times the width is 4, so 10 times 4 is 40. Okay, so it'd be 40 yards squared. 40 yards squared. So now we would subtract it because we want to know this outside portion outside the pool. Okay, so we're taking away that 40 yards and we should get 710 yards squared is the limestone. Everything outside the pool is that much. Okay, that's the lesson for today. Today's shout out goes to Cheyenne. Okay, I hope you're doing well, Cheyenne. Remember, if any of you have any questions or need help with anything, email me directly. You all have my emails, and make sure you keep on top of your assignments. All right. Again, miss you guys so much. I hope this lesson has helped you for today's and tomorrow's lesson. All right. Stay tuned for a lesson 8.4. Peace out. Miss you guys.